Yeah, George, you were kind enough to allow me to come to your home and see the incredible work that your mother,
Yeah,
at least part of it, that she accumulated over time. And
yeah.
I had the privilege of picking my two favorite pieces, which are now prominently displayed in my office upstairs. And I loved
Yeah,
them. I love them.
great. Yes,
Let's
yes,
talk,
she would
let's
love for
talk
you to have
about,
it.
well, I'm glad that you felt, led by spirit to share those and to gift those. But let's talk about the orishas. What is an
Yes.
orisha? And then let's talk about one of the orishas that I brought home with me, Yemaya. So
Okay.
tell people a little
Okay.
bit about that and why is it so much of a controversy for a person who is a Christian to also then still have the orishas as prominent in their world?
Well, okay, I must let you know that my knowledge is nowhere on the level that my mother was, but I will do my best to try to live up to what she did in her work as far as what I learned from her. Um, Now, the orishas are like spiritual forces that were brought forth first by the first orisha, Eligwa, and he's the opener of the crossroads where all the orishas come through from between the spiritual realm and the physical world. Your orisha, Yemaya, is the orisha of the ocean and motherhood. A lot of people kind of shy away from the whole idea of the actual orishas because, I mean, for quite frankly, all our time in America, it's been beaten out of us. It was basically vilified. It's vilified in all kinds of propaganda society as backwards, voodoo, zombie, this and all this. And a lot of people are just quite frankly scared of something that's naturally them. And that's kind of necessary that the world kind of preys upon that kind of, what would I call it? I don't want to say a weakness, but it's a condition right now that a lot of people kind of like to see our people in because they're easily more able to take advantage of us if we don't know exactly who and what we are.
The Obeah Woman by Anastasia the Phoenix Armourer. Chapter 12. Dora watered her garden early this morning. The dry season is very hard on roses. It is 5:30 a.m. She wants to be sure to give them a lot of water before sunrise. It has been 2 days since she stole the eye of Ra from Niama in the swamp, and the days have been quiet since then. She spent the last day fixing things up in the restaurant, and all is back to normal there. She had not heard any more from the police department about the 2 dead men they found, and she did not volunteer any information. Today is a special day for Dora. It is her birthday, and she is looking forward to standing before the oracle in the temple of the lower council. Every 4 years of their life the sisters and brothers of the council of the Magi stand in the temple before the holy oracle. There is a grand temple in Trinidad. It is of the lower council of the Magi. The oracle of the temple blesses them and increases their powers. They are then able to rise through the ranks. The oracle also rejuvenates them, so that they live for a long time. This is Dora's 200th birthday. The clan of the Black Leopard is hidden in the Moruga Hills at the southern part of the island. The drive there is very long, and Dora wanted to leave early to get there on time. No one knows how much power she will receive from the oracle. On rare occasions, the oracle gives jewels to the one standing before it. These jewels are extremely powerful, and are used in many different ways. Dora has been a member of the lower council for 100 years, and she would like very much to become a clan mother, but to do so she must first get her degrees of power up to 33. This can only happen if the oracle favors her, and gives her the power she needs. After tending to her garden, Dora went into her house to prepare to leave, but first, she sat by the radio to listen to the morning news, and have a cup of tea. The newscaster was saying that the police had found the bodies of 3 American tourists in 3 different locations. Dora knew about this, and that the Bakwas were responsible. She got ready, said goodbye to Sandra and Angela, got into her truck and drove south. The Temple of the Lower Council was built for all the Magi. It was a very large building with many glass windows. On the grounds of the building, there were many tall coconut trees. The building was painted dark green with gold trim and a golden door. Dora parked her truck, and walked up the path to the front door. Some of her sisters were arriving at the same time, and she greeted them as she entered the building. They were all dressed in their formal ceremonial robes of purple and gold, and they all looked very beautiful. Inside the building, there were many rooms and long hallways. Shoshana, the clan mother, has an office here. Dora walked up to the office and knocked on the door. "Come in," said the clan mother. Dora entered the office. She saw Shoshana and 3 of her clan sisters, including Isis, one of her dearest friends. "Dora, today is the day, at last. Everything is ready for you, and we will be entering the main hall in 15 minutes. Isis walked over and embraced Dora. "Don't be nervous, I am sure that you will find favor with the oracle today." Isis smiled and placed her arm around Dora's shoulders, and led her out of the room. All of her sisters were there, including Rhonda, the tall, voluptuous, blonde, Caucasian woman who stole Dora's husband 3 years ago. When an Obeah woman faces the oracle, it is a special day for everyone in the clan. Soon it was time to enter the great hall. The clan mother and her assistants entered first. Then the sisters entered in pairs. Dora and Isis were at the beginning of the line. Isis held candles as they walked inside. The floor was slanted downwards, leading into a sunken area, where the oracle stood. Dora and Isis walked down to the first row of seats, and stood as all the other sisters filed into the hall and stood in front of their seats. Dora kept her eyes on the regent, a tall beautiful black woman with long well-groomed dreadlocks in her hair. She was wearing a long black robe with gold trim. The regent was kneeling in front of the oracle, which was a large crystal obelisk that was 12 feet tall with ancient writings on all sides with a great eye at the top. The smell of sweet incense filled the great hall. The clan mother and her 2 assistants were kneeling on one side of the circle around the oracle. Everyone was silent as the regent prayed. Then after a few minutes, she stood to her feet, and faced the congregation. "Dora Van Hart, please come forward," said the regent, as she pointed her finger at Dora, who stepped out of her place as she walked toward the regent. "Let all who are present here bear witness that Dora Van Hart has come today, on her 200th birthday, to stand before the oracle. If it be his will, she will be blessed and gifted with power and rare jewels. May you, Dora Van Hart, find favor today, and be granted all that you desire. So let it be written," said the clan. Then the regent stepped aside to give Dora access to the oracle. Then, one of the assistants came over and took the candle from her hand. Dora moved forward and stood before the oracle. She bowed before it, then held her hands palm up in front of her. The oracle began to glow with a bright white light that filled the entire obelisk, and then, a beam of light came out of the eye and projected right into Dora's forehead. She felt a tingling sensation, as the light filled her body. Suddenly, there appeared 2 jewels in her hands. Dora felt warm and a bit lightheaded. Then, it was over, and the oracle became normal again. The sisters could not believe their eyes. Dora was also in shock. She looked at the jewels almost afraid to move for fear that they might vanish from her hands. The stone in her right hand was a large diamond, and in her left hand, an enormous black pearl. Dora closed her fingers around the jewels, and then she bowed low to the ground, and thanked the oracle. She looked beautiful, about the age of 30 years old, as she stood to her feet. The regent was the first to embrace her and congratulate her. Then all the sisters of the clan came forward to congratulate her. Dora went with the clan mother into her private office at the back of the temple. "I am so happy for you, Dora, and for our clan." Shoshana examined the jewels closely. "We have never received anything like these jewels from the oracle in all the years that I have been clan mother. I know this diamond. Do you see this symbol and the runes written on it? This is the resurrection, and the black pearl is the eye of Anubis. We are lucky to have received these jewels." "Yes, and I will cherish them always." Dora smiled as she took the jewels out of the hand of the clan mother. "Dora, these jewels are too precious, and too powerful to be kept anywhere other than the vault of the clan." Shoshana hoped that Dora would agree. "These jewels were given to me, to be used by me, to be kept by me. In other words, Mother, they are mine." "I know that they are yours, Dora. I only think that they would be safer in the vault." Shoshana still expected Dora to agree. "Sorry, Mother, but I disagree." Shoshana became very upset. "That black pearl can kill the most powerful magi or Bakwa. We have been praying for this jewel for decades, and the oracle gave it to us." "Excuse me, Mother. But the oracle gave the black pearl to me." Both women glared at each other. The clan mother thought she knew Dora very well, but this is a side of her she had not seen before. "What has happened, Dora? What is this all about?" "What this is about, Mother, is the fact that everyone that I know of keeps their own jewels. So, why should I give these up?" Shoshana did not know what else to say. "You are right, Dora. I apologize, and I did not mean to imply that you would not take care of the jewels." She smiled a deceitful smile that Dora could see right through. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. "Come in," said Shoshana. One of the sisters came into the office. "Excuse me, Mother, could I trouble you for one moment, please?" "Yes, certainly. Please excuse me for a minute, Dora. I will be right back." Shoshana left the room, and Dora saw the opportunity to put away her jewels. She took a lace handkerchief out of her pocket, and tied up the 2 large gems. She then dropped the small bundle down the front of her dress. Dora could hear whispers coming from outside the office. She turned around, and to her amazement, she could see through the door and the walls. She could see the clan mother and one of the sisters talking in the hallway. Then Shoshana walked down the hallway to meet another sister. "What is it, Rhonda?" she asked, as she took the sister's trembling hands. "Oh, Mother, I must leave at once." "What? Why?" Shoshana could see the fear on Rhonda's face as she looked down the hall to the office where Dora was. She drew the clan mother a little further away, and whispered to her. "The oracle was very generous to Dora today. I don't know how much she knows about how I got Leo from her, but I think I had better stay away from her. If she finds out what I did, things could get very bad." "Nonsense. There is no way that she could acquire that knowledge at this time, even if her powers have increased." Shoshana was very confident. "How can you be so sure, Mother?" Dora's vision was never all that great. She uses a magic mirror to see many things she should have been able to see just by thinking about them. Dora was stunned by what she was seeing and hearing. Suddenly, she knew that Rhonda had used oracle gems to bewitch Leo, her husband, and steal him away from her. Dora realized that Shoshana, the clan mother, knew all about it. Dora could not control herself. She slammed open the door and ran down the hallway. Rhonda saw her coming and took off running. "No, Dora. No." Shoshana tried to stop her, but Dora pushed her out of the way and pursued Rhonda, who was running as fast as she could to leave the temple. Dora caught up with her and sprang through the air, landing on Rhonda's back, knocking her to the ground. Dora then grabbed the screaming Rhonda by the hair and pulled her to her feet. "You bitch." She slapped her in the face. "You bitch. You bitch. You bitch." Dora screamed at her with every blow. Rhonda screamed and tried to pull away from Dora. As she did so, she fell backwards to the ground. All the sisters were now trying to break up the fight, but Dora pushed them back with incredible force. Her strength was unbelievable. Dora lunged at Rhonda again. Grabbing her by her clothes, she threw her into the entrance of the main hall. The sisters were screaming for her to stop, but she could not hear them. Outside the temple, the sky changed, and a strange storm arose. Thunder and lightning rocked the building. Rhonda ran into the main hall thinking that Dora would never fight her in the presence of the oracle. Rhonda cowered on her hands and knees in the main hall, weeping uncontrollably. She looked up to see Dora walking toward her like a stealth cat bearing down on its prey. She screamed in horror as Dora grabbed her and started to tear her clothes from her body. The sisters huddled around them in small groups of 2s and 3s, not knowing what to do to make it stop. Dora stripped Rhonda naked in the middle of the main hall. Her white body exposed to the clan mother and all the sisters. "I accuse you of using the jewels of the oracle to bewitch my husband, and take him away from his home, and his wife whom he loved. A wife who loved him more than life itself. You filthy bitch." Dora spit on her. She then turned her attention to the clan mother. "You knew. You knew about all of this, and you did nothing to stop it. Nothing. You are just as bad as she is. You encouraged her. Why, Shoshana? Why?" She screamed at the clan mother, who did not answer. "Come, Dora." Isis put her arms around Dora and led her out of the temple. "I will drive you home." Isis led Dora out to her truck. The rain was pouring down as the lightning lit up the night sky. "Shango is angry, because you are angry," Isis said to Dora as she put her on the passenger side of her own yellow truck. Dora wrapped herself in the blanket that was lying on the seat, and they drove away, leaving the temple in the storm and all the confusion. Now that Rhonda has been exposed in the middle of the temple, her spell on Leo has been broken. Isis stated as she stared at the road in the darkness. 3 years with my husband. That bitch stole 3 years of my life. Oh Isis, I wanted to kill her," Dora said tearfully. "But, you didn't. You did the right thing. You exposed her to the clan." Isis tried to keep her eyes on the road. "You know, Dora, I have never trusted Shoshana. I have never trusted her. There is just something about that woman, and I can't quite put my finger on it, but she is just not right. I know that she's my clan mother, and she seems caring and giving, but I think it's just a load of horse shit. I don't believe that she is sincere. I just don't believe it." Dora said nothing to all of this. She simply sat quietly, as she stared out the window into the darkness. At the temple, the other sisters helped Rhonda to get herself together. Then she and Shoshana sat in the office at the back of the temple. "I would advise you to leave this country immediately, Rhonda, because your next encounter with Dora may not end this well." "Leave my husband? To go where?" asked Rhonda with tears in her eyes. "First of all, he is not your husband. Secondly, you are an American. Go home." "I can't. I won't leave Leo. He loves me, and I don't care what Dora says, he will never leave me." Rhonda held her head up high. Shoshana stood to her feet, and threw her hands in the air in disbelief. "I don't believe you. When you bewitched Leo, did you bewitch yourself also? That man loves his wife. I know what you did, Rhonda, but now the spell is broken." Shoshana was bending over her as though trying to pry her eyes open. "Broken? The spell is broken?" Fear was setting into Rhonda's soul again. "Yes, my dear. Dora exposed you before the oracle, whose gems you used to do evil. But, my gems are not from this oracle." Rhonda was weeping again. "You fool, all the oracles are connected. They are all a part of each other." Shoshana was now shouting at her. "Your stupidity is going to cost you your life, and me, my trust with my sisters." I have to go home. I have to explain to Leo. Explain what? Shoshana interrupted her. Explain to him how you fucked up his life. This is no ordinary man, Rhonda. Lionel Van Hart is a clan father, and the only reason you got him is because you stole a spell book from a dying wizard, and used the Venus stone called Desire to bewitch him. Now for your 3 years of pleasure, we both well feel the pain. I'm sorry, Mother, but I have got to go home. Rhonda started to collect her things. You can't go home, Rhonda, because you can't leave this temple. If you or I go out there, Shango will kill us with his lightning bolts. We are stuck here until the storm is over. Rhonda sank into her chair with her head in her hands, weeping bitterly. Rhonda finally arrived home after being trapped in the temple for about 3 hours. She pulled her Mercedes into the driveway. The servants were taking suitcases and putting them by the door. Leo, she called, as she ran through the house. Leo, darling, where are you? She ran into his study, and there, he was sitting at his desk writing. She walked slowly into the room. Leo continued to write. She sat in front of his desk as he continued to write. Leo, darling, please, look at me. He continued to write. I can explain. I saw you that first day, at the club, remember, darling? You were so handsome, I fell in love with you that day. I couldn't help myself. I know what I did was wrong, but I knew that if you could get to know me, that you would love me too. The tears ran down her face as she reached across the desk to touch his hand. Leo pulled his hand away from her and stood to his feet. Turn off the waterworks, lady, the spell is broken. He picked up an envelope from his desk and handed it to her. In there is a plane ticket to New York, and a check for $10,000. I have booked a room for you at the Queen's Park Hotel. The servants have packed your things. Goodbye, and have a good trip. Leo started to walk out of the room. No, Leo, please wait. She pleaded. He stopped and looked at her. His eyes were cold as ice. He felt nothing but disgust for her. Oh, darling. I love you so much. Please, forgive me. I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you. She left her seat and knelt at his feet. What about my wife? Did you mean to hurt her, or was she just too unimportant for you to care? He stared down at her with hatred in his eyes. She had never seen this look on his face for anyone before. I didn't mean to hurt her. I just couldn't help myself. I love you. Lady, you don't know the meaning of the word. Now, get your ass out of my house, before I have you thrown out. His voice was cold and hard. Rhonda knew that he meant every word he said. She watched him walk out of the room without looking back. At that point, she knew that she had lost him. Kokaka was so upset about Abby that she could hardly think straight. She walked into the cold room where she had laid her and wept again for her. Abby was more than just an apprentice, she was a daughter, and this pain was unbearable. Kokaka went to her bedroom and unlocked a large trunk. She took out a beautiful box and opened it. Inside were rows of gold coins. After staring at the box for a long time, she closed the box. She will do what she must do. Kokaka called all of her people together. I have to go somewhere, it is very important, and I must go alone. You must all stay here. No one must follow me. Is that clear? Yes, my queen. They all answered. Kokaka readied herself. She did not think that she would ever have to do this. She placed the box in a bag and left. No one followed her, not even the demons. Her people obeyed her commands. She stood outside of her cave. This was the most difficult thing she has ever done. And what if she was rejected? She would never be able to live it down. And another thing, she hated giving up all that gold. She left the cave, and went on her way. Twice she stopped and almost turned back. But, she continued on until finally, she was there. She stood about 3 yards away from the gate. She did not speak, she did not call out, she just stood there looking at the beautiful house in the moonlight. It was the only house on the whole island that her eyes could not penetrate. It looked like a grand English home with its enormous garden full of roses and rare herbs, and splendid tall trees. As she stood there, Coco became more and more nervous. She turned to leave, but suddenly remembered why she had come to this house. Then suddenly, the door opened and the woman of the house walked slowly down the path and stood at the gate. For a moment, they said nothing. They just stood there in the moonlight looking at each other in disbelief. "Hello, Dora," Coco said, finally finding her tongue. Dora did not respond. "I am here because Red Claw has killed my Abby," she said slowly with sadness in her voice. Dora knows how evil and proud Coco is. So she knew it must have taken a lot for her to come here to do this. "I know that we are bitter enemies, Dora. You hate me, and I hate you. Over the decades, you have had to pay me for the lives and souls of many people. In this bag is a box full of rare gold coins that is worth at least $1 million American dollars. Please come to my cave and resurrect Abby. I know that you have the power to do so. Coco, you threw away your life for something as frivolous as vanity." "Vanity? You think I went to Nehima because I wanted more beauty? You stupid bitch. I went to Nehima because I wanted her to help me destroy the Order of the Magi. You are mad. No one can destroy the Order, and why would you want to? Oh, I am going to destroy the Order, Dora, because of what they did to me." "What did they do to you?" "They took care of you. They put you on the right path. They killed my mother." Coco screamed at the top of her lungs. She fell to her knees on the ground. Dora was stunned. She opened the gate and walked over to Coco, who was weeping bitterly for the first time in over a decade. Dora stared down at the crone weeping at her feet. "What did you say?" The words came from her soul. Coco lifted her head and sat on her heels. "You heard me, sister. That Order, that you so love more than anyone except maybe Leo Van Hart, killed my mother. You lie, Coco. You always lie." "I don't have to lie, I remember. That clan mother of yours who you so love and respect, you always kissing her ass and kissing her hands. Well, those hands you kiss killed my mother." Dora fell to her knees. She grabbed hold of Coco. "What are you saying to me? You left me. You left me alone with the people you say killed your mother. Why?" "Because you would never believe me. Every time I try to tell you something about the Order, you tell me I'm lying. Well, a lot of things are beginning to make more sense to me now. We were best friends and the Order knew that. Yet, they try to get me to destroy you. I could never understand that." Dora stood to her feet and returned to the other side of the gate. She looked at Coco, her eyes filled with tears. "I'll make it right, Coco. I promise. I'll make it all right." "And Abby?" Coco asked tearfully. "Abby too." Dora left Coco and returned to the house. She walked over to a chair and sat down. Dora thought of her own mother and how she would give anything to have known her. Dora went into her bedroom to her safe. She took out the jewels she needed to resurrect Abby, put them in her basket, and left for Coco's cave. On her way, she drove past the Piarco airport, which is small, but very busy. Tourists from all over the world visit the island every day. Dora thought about the 10 children that were missing. Where could the Bakwas be hiding them? Dora arrived at Coco's cave, and stood outside as she did before. This time the demons did not curse or spit at her, instead they stayed far out of her way. Coco came out to meet her. "I'm so glad you've come, Dora. She's in the cave." Coco hurried Dora into the cave where Abby laid, all laid out in black with black candles all around her. Dora removed the jewels from her basket and held them in her hands. Kokaka watched with great interest. Dora whispered the chant of resurrection softly so that no one could hear them. The jewel floated out of her hands and circled over Abby's body. Then, the light came out of the large diamond and filled Abby's lifeless body with light. The jewel floated back to Dora's hand, and she put it away in her basket. Abby opened her eyes, then sat straight up. Kokaka and her helpers screamed for joy. Abby looked at Kokaka and smiled. She was alive and completely healed. Kokaka walked over to Dora. "Thank you, Dora. If you ever need anything, let me know." Dora could say nothing to Kokaka. There is so much going on in her mind. She left the cave and began her walk through the swamp, back to her truck. She moved through the swamp with the stealth and cunning of a cat. The swamp was alive with the early morning creatures. Dora got in her truck and prepared her mind for the long ride home. It was then she decided to complete her teleportation training. Dora sat in her truck as a thought came to her. She had the Eye of Ra. Why not heal Kokaka? She returned to the cave. Kokaka was celebrating Abby's resurrection. She looked up and saw Dora standing at the mouth of the cave. "Did you forget something, Dora?" she asked. "Yes. I decided to rejuvenate you." Kokaka's mouth fell open. She could not believe what she had heard. Dora walked over to her and removed the Eye of Ra from around her neck. The stone rose up in her hand as she said the incantation of rejuvenation. A beam of light came out of the stone and bathed Kokaka from her head to her feet. The powerful spell was broken and Kokaka's beauty restored. The entire cave exploded with joy. Demons were jumping up and down, clapping their hands and dancing for joy. Kokaka was stunned. She looked down at her hands and feet. Abby appeared by her side, and handed her a mirror. She gasped when she saw her beautiful face and her long black hair. "Oh Dora, what have you done?" Kokaka wept with tears of joy. She then went to her bag and took out the box of gold, giving it to Dora. "I only wish it was more," she said as tears rolled down her face. "It is enough." Dora replaced the jewel around her neck and left the cave. She walked to her truck and began her long drive home. Lazar, McLean and Hanson arrived at the aquatic club in Street James precisely when Rhonda told them to be there. The aquatic club was the watering hole and playground for tourists, especially Americans. It is situated between the main road and the sea. The aquatic never closes. It is open day and night 7 days a week. Anything a tourist wants, he can find here. Alcohol, drugs of every kind, and women. Lots of women. The three men walked into the club at about 10 p.m. They each had a picture of Red Claw. They decided to stake out the club in 3 places: 1, near the front door; 2nd, at the bar; 3rd, at the back door. Lazar took the front door, McLean took the bar, and Hanson took the back door. The club had 3 levels, but the men decided to remain on the main floor. The place was jumping. People were dancing and drinking, having a good time. At about 11:15, McLean thought he saw something. A black man with red hair. He wasn't quite sure, so he decided to walk through the crowded dance floor for a closer look. The lights were dim and he was standing with his back turned away from McLean. He was leaning up against the wall talking to a beautiful white woman. McLean got close enough to see his face. It was him. It was Red Claw. McLean grabbed him by the arm and said, "Red Claw, you are under arrest." With those words, Red Claw turned and punched him so hard in the face that he broke his nose. McLean fell backwards into the crowd of people dancing. Lazar and Hanson saw what happened, so they both rushed toward Red Claw. He decided to go for the front door, as he pushed people out of the way. He ran smack dab into Lazar, who quickly wrestled him down to the ground. However, Lazar was no match for Red Claw. He picked up Lazar and threw him about 10 feet, slamming him into the wall. Hanson had his gun drawn, as Red Claw ran out of the club. He fired off 2 shots into his back, but they did not stop him. Hansen chased Red Claw down the stairs and out into the main road. Hansen was firing shots at him. Red Claw ran in front of a car. The car hit him so hard that it lifted him off of the ground and onto the hood. His body slammed into the windshield and broke it. Hansen ran over to him. "Put your hands in the air, put your hands in the air, right now. You got nowhere to go." Red Claw got off of the car and started moving towards Hansen. Hansen began shooting, but his bullets were ineffective. Red Claw walked up to him, grabbed his head and snapped his neck. Hansen dropped to the ground dead, as Red Claw simply walked away.
Go!